Alright, welcome back to the next video in the Sega Lindbergh Universal Cabinet Restore. What you might remember from the first video was the fabrication of this noir panel that I've designed for myself so I can put a PlayStation or a Xbox or whatever console I want into my Lindbergh cabinet. I'm not really that interested in just putting in a single game in original Lindbergh hardware. Would be fun, I might do that someday, but I understand the PS3 and PS4 and the Brooks board, so I'm going to have a go at that and see how it turns out. Now what I've got to my left here is a big pile of stuff that's taken a couple of months to get together. All this stuff from overseas. I'm going to unpack it all now, have a look and just get a bit of an idea of how it's going to come together. This panel, I'm waiting for reproduction artwork. So something similar to the original like this, which I've sent a brief to a fella at a company called Noodle Shirt. I'll put the website up there. Does a lot of arcade artwork, reproduction stuff in Australia. Graphic designer, does really good work and understands the business. So that's probably a little way away. Getting a few other things done too, a marquee and an instruction panel. But for now, I just want to see all my stuff, unpack it all, and then I can get a bit of an idea of where to head next. So I'm using the iPhone 11 here with the wide view. Hopefully it's okay. Electronic stuff I tend to get from Element 14. Australian company, they're really good. Got a lot of products. Alright, so on the Jason's Custom site, he's got all these buttons you can put on your stick that you make. Got to think of what they're called now, but I basically copied the part numbers from his website so I can get these little buttons. And they're rocker switches, and the idea being is that you can switch between the lever, the direction pad, or left direction pad on a PlayStation or console controller and the right pad. So on his website they're cherry switches, but these are branded something else. I don't know, ZF Cherry. So I've got more than I need, but the idea being that I haven't decided whether I want marked or unmarked. So that's a 2-position switch. The idea of that is that I can isolate these buttons over here on the panel. So this will be things like R3, L3, touchpad, options or start, things like that. So when you're playing the game, you don't want to accidentally freeze your game or exit out of it. So something like that will go up here. Like I said, 3-way rocker switch. So it could be left stick, right stick, direction pad, depending on which way you wire it up. And then what have I got here? That's another 3-position switch, just without the little button on it, little markings on it. Alright, what have we got here? Sometimes they send you bits and pieces. So you might order 5 things and then they come in dribs and drabs as they become available in stock. Anyway, these are the little screws I'm going to use to mount some USB buttons. Nice little hex type thing. I need 4 of them, but of course you got to buy 100. It's only a couple of bucks. just to come out of the console and then into the back. Actually, no, it's gonna come out up here into the back of here into a USB port, double-ended Type A. I don't know what the audio's like, me ripping these bags open. Hopefully it's not too annoying. Alright, just some little connectors, just for some wires to connect to the back of the Brooks board if I need them. Not the Brooks board, the back of buttons. Things like this. Alright, so a few Sanwa buttons, OBS C30s they're called. I just got a few samples to work out what colours I want. That's your classic black and grey for the Lindbergh. Those. The back there. I'd experiment with a few blank plugs just to see what they do, what they're like. Just put them wherever you want. A couple of black ones, much more subdued look. And then some little 24 mil. Some more rocker switches that I got. Actually, the Jason's Customs website, it puts the part number for I think it's dual pole, dual throw, something like that. But the part number is actually wrong. It's still only a two-way switch. I think the part number he gives you is a 23. There's a 23 in it, and you need it to be a 24. So I'll work out if I want to use them later, but put them aside for now. Little 24. Again, Sanwas, all Sanwa bits. It's the first lot of stuff I've ever bought, so not a good enough player to know the difference, but I'll stick with the original. Some little audio jacks. So on my custom panel I'm going to have headphone out. And I can't remember exactly why I bought two, but I'm thinking maybe if I had a impromptu two-player game and someone's using a controller and you're using the panel, then you can both use headphones if you have to. These things you can spend $2 on them or you can spend $20, just depends if you want high quality stainless steel, all that kind of stuff, but these will do the trick. So this is the sort of guts of the whole system. Brook Universal Fighting Board. There's heaps of information about them online, and it's essentially a interface between a panel like this or a fight stick and a console. A couple of reflective stickers. So this one's called with headers, which are these things here and here. So the idea being, instead of having to put a wire from every single button on the control panel into these assigned little holes here, you just buy this stuff from Focus Attack, probably other places too. And they're not very expensive, and it's worth saving in time alone. So this is all the buttons and the joystick or lever. So basically I'll plug this into here, mount this inside the Lindbergh, and then run all these to the different buttons up and down here. It doesn't do all the buttons, that harness, so you do have to get one of these if you want to, which I think four-pin. I think it goes in here. My mind's a bit foggy. What's happened here? It's basically your R3, your L3 and your touchpad, I think. Just those rare buttons on the controller that probably won't be used in fighting games, but I'm putting it on all the same. I'll work it out later. You get the idea? And then of course you just have a USB coming from your console and then going into here. That'll just mount inside the control panel underneath somewhere. My access panel on my Lindbergh cabinet has a big hole in it where there was a card reader. So I got this made up. It's called Traffolite. It's the same stuff that your name tags are made out of. Just got the artwork from the website or from online, and it's just really finely lasered into it. I mean, that's tiny, that universal cabinet writing. I could probably scratch it off with my thumb, but you'll see a picture of it later when I put it up against it. The other idea too is to have holes put in here and then get some buttons on here for your something like a two-player control panel up here. There isn't enough buttons to map to a couple of Brooks boards. So you might need those extra buttons if you wanted to not use original hardware and use a console, in which case you can get buttons put in here. Watch this space, I'll see if I do that down the track sometime. This is USB. I'm just thinking about potentially putting that in the back of the cabinet, running from here in the guts of the cabinet up to the Brooks board instead of running cables through, but it means I'd have to drill a hole in the cabinet, and I don't know whether I'm making it neater or worse, but that's the idea. The guys I got my Lindbergh original panel from, Hero in Japan. He works for River Service. Thanks to Terry, shout out for your videos on the Lindbergh and Vuelix. I hadn't heard of River Service, so thanks to you, my friend, for your tips. Now these are some cool little anodized metal aluminium levers. They're pretty neat. I thought I'd get some of those. He said he doesn't sell them normally to people, but because I bought a couple of panels, he said he'll throw some in. Nice weight to them and texture. and also just a little anodised dust plate. The finish is a little bit like if you've got an Apple product like a Mac or something, that same metal finish. Came with the plastic one as well. And also just some shaft covers. Same thing. That is metal as well. The previous owner of my cabinet didn't have the keys, so he had to drill them out. Drill out the locks, which was sort of a shame because they were the nice original Sega. But there's a company here in Australia called Highway Entertainment. They sell heaps of arcade stuff. I think they're affiliated with arcadesales.com from Hong Kong. So they have locks and just heaps of stuff just for coin-op in general. So I got what they called Sega replacement locks. $19mm, I think, so they look like the real deal. Luckily I got the original, don't know what they're called, tabs or tangs or some name like that. They won't fit. And I also just got some little mounting feet to mount the PCB mounting feet to mount the Brooks. So I got a few different variations I'll try out, but they kind of go like that. I'm not going to screw that to the cabinet though, I might just put some double-sided tape on there. Those locks are pretty expensive, it's worth keeping an eye out on eBay and places like that for the originals. You know, you don't need locks in your home use environment, but that's what us arcade people are like, trying to get to the original arcade look and feel. Alright, this is some more stuff from Element 14. These are the USB connectors. So all I want to be able to do is put these in here and maybe one just for charging a phone or something like that, and the other one for connecting to the console. Because there's two outputs on the PS3. I know there's more on the PS4 Pro, I think there's 3, but I'm going to be using a PS3 to start off with. So one USB is going to have to go to the Brooks board and the other one will come up through the cabinet and into there. So these are actually designed to either go on the front or on the back, so I can put it in this way. Does look neat, but there's going to be an overlay on here, and I'm figuring if there's an area here that's sort of open to being rubbed and whatnot with hands, it'll eventually lift. And I think this just looks a bit more industrial and sort of smart really. And that's what these little screws were for earlier. My mate's got a milling machine, so he was really kind enough to help me draw up where I wanted these holes and things. A laser is quicker and easier if you've got one. Nice and flush. This is Aki Shop Japan. They got some cool stuff. Their website's nice. Problem is, I think they wait till people order stuff. Then when they get a big enough order, they then order from Sanwa or Sumitsu or whoever to get the stuff. So it did take, I think, over 6 weeks for me to get this stuff. But I'm grateful that they actually have it. So here we go. Some nice clear buttons. The idea with these ones is that I'm going to backlight the bottom of the control panel. So instead of lighting individual buttons, you just light up the whole lot. Really nice. I love this stuff. You order things from other countries and you see things you've never seen before. I know it's just tape, but it's a good way for them to come. Buttons don't get scratched. Nice. And let's throw a few of these in. Those ones are a little close, but Namco did that, not me, so here we go. And again, if you're like me, when you order stuff, sometimes you order things you don't need because you don't want to order them again as a one-off, so you just have a few beers and add to cart, basically. I think that's the original colour. I'm a big fan of these bubble tops, but give it a go. Pretty nice. And a bright orange. Alright. Some more OBSF 30s, I think. I've got one extra button that probably didn't need, but this one here was the original start button on the Namco panel, so I had to leave that as a 30mm. Okay, some more. I think these are clear. Clear 24mm. These little stickers are just protection. Getting them in there. And I thought this was a cool idea. These buttons with the PlayStation symbology on them, so definitely going to give that a go. On the artwork I was going to get, triangle, square, circle, X or whatever, but because you can use it with a Xbox or even a Nintendo Switch, I just thought I'll give these buttons a go. Pretty sure they're Sanwas. They don't feel that good actually. Yeah, definitely Sanwas. So don't flame me, I don't know which way these go. They don't look as sexy as the buttons with colours, but not bad. And again, you've got to order from different vendors because not everyone does the same thing. So Focus Attack will have something, Aki Shop will have something. But mainly it's getting these clear ones that I was after. Last up, JLF controller. JLF TP-8Y. Standard old faithful controller there. I talked about backlighting it, so what I've got is this strip. It's from a guy who runs Pinball House, Haus, in Brisbane. And he does pinball stuff, but this equally applies to arcade, where this is a light strip, but it's 6 volt. So I can get away with connecting that to a USB and plugging it into a USB of some sort, or just a 5 volt adapter. And that'll run along the inside of the cabinet, or the control panel, and basically light up the top. Got this extra run just in case. Maybe I'll run some inside the marquee light, or the on the Lindbergh it's also got an instruction space, which I might run in there instead of using the fluorescent tube. But I'll just see how this goes. Another USB A to A. So the reason I get the A to A is because the back of this has to go into that underneath the control panel. Alright, last box. This is from Focus Attack again. I needed more bits that they didn't have at the other places. Another JLF, nice and clicky. Buttons and ball tops. Let's quickly go through it. Classic black. Classic white one. I think this is red, obviously, but there's also vermilion, which is kind of a brighter colour. I don't know if it really suits the Lindbergh panel. What else? Grey. Another grey. There you go. Forgot I'd even ordered one. Okay, and that's right. I had to get these matching whites with the clear surround. And that was to go here, in case I decide to go all white. At least for those 3 buttons. Kick and punch. Alright, I just had to speed that up because it's getting out of control. More stuff. Again, this is from Focus Attack. A few more blank buttons. Some bits and pieces for fixing up some old joysticks I've got. A couple more shaft dust plates and some more mounting hardware. Spring for a controller. This basically came with the controller also that I ordered from Focus Attack. A couple of push buttons and some more mounting hardware. Just experimenting, and a little C-clip just for a lever which I'm fixing up. Here's more buttons. So this is just for the classic two-tone buttons for the Lindbergh. And actually just, I got a bunch of these black ones with the clear surrounds as well. So I got enough there to set up a few panels. Don't need it all, but that's what the fun part is. Great, well I hope you like this. Next up, I really want the overlay for this. I can put that on, populate it, and then we can start doing some stuff with the actual cabinet. Cleaning and taking the monitor out, giving it a good clean, showing you a few other bits and pieces that I'm going to need. Great, thanks for watching. Hit me up with any questions. So I'm going to have fun working out what goes best with what colours. Again, don't need all this stuff, but I've bought it all, don't have to chase it. 2-player control panel, don't know if I'll be able to get that again. 1 players are probably running out fast. So I'm covered for the next few years at least.
세거의 가치다.